Hi you guys, and welcome back to one of my video. This is another requested video about crystals or gemstones. What is their power and why we should utilize them, how exactly we should utilize them, and what exactly are crystals and why are they so famous. Thank you so much for requesting me this video. If you want other videos, please comment down below. Take advantage of the comment section so I know what videos you would like to see. All right, let's get started with this video. What are actually crystals? So now I'm holding an amethyst, which is one of my favorite, and I'm going to tell you everything about finding your spirit crystals, because just exactly like spirit guides and spirit animals, you do have a spirit crystals, which I will dedicate my next pick a card about. Now let's discover this very fact that I always mention. Talking about crystals or gemstone is exactly like talking about pets. In fact, you can watch my video about pets. Why? Because they have consciousness and they're very much alive, exactly your cat or the cat down the road or whatever. And as plants, they are very much alive. But in order to understand why crystals and gemstones are alive, we need to redefine what it means to be alive. Because if we go to the mainstream label of what is alive or mainstream explanation, what is alive? It's like human or animals. So we breathe, we move, therefore we are alive. But in actuality, on a spiritual level, especially, everything that is alive is what has consciousness. And if you're familiar, especially with my e-course, Co-Creating Your Reality, and shout out for all of you guys who are participating in the course, you can find it down below. You know, as I explained in that e-course and in many of my previous videos, that everything holds consciousness. This is not something that I say only because of my personal belief systems and experience, but it's also embodied in ancient philosophy and animistic philosophies, like I explained for my video, The Spirit Animals. Why? Because the Native Americans, for example, Hinduism, or also ancient Egyptian, and we can go far way back in history, they thought that everything was very much alive and therefore containing consciousness. What does it mean to contain consciousness? It means to contain energy, to hold a certain vibrational pattern, and to be able to even communicate with us. That's why crystals are so powerful. Do you know that perhaps not even computers could be even there without crystals? Because crystals are able to hold information and reflect those informations. In fact, in ancient times, it is said that many of the informations in the temples or in ancient Egypt, even in the pyramids, in the rocks, but in the crystals were channeled from the crystals itself, or they were projected into the crystals by the user, the healer, or the ancient priest. So crystals have consciousness and they have a very specific pattern of vibration. Now, crystals, for example, if you look at this amethyst, you probably know that this amethyst comes from another cluster, from a bigger amethyst. But obviously, if you cut your body into, or if you kill an animal, unfortunately, their consciousness is gonna go to the other side. But it's very different from crystals, because if you cut a crystals from their original cluster, they will maintain a fragment of that original consciousness, and they will embody that fragment of consciousness in the little stone that you're holding in your hands. But moreover, crystals are the expansion, but rather the extension, I want to say, of earth consciousness. It's almost like they are the fairies of the earth consciousness. They give us messages from earth consciousness. And I don't know if you ever noticed your kids or the kids that you have around, or you when you were a child perhaps, you noticed that for you, talking with objects and unanimated objects, we could call them, was supernatural, such as talking with plants, with trees, with stones, with crystals perhaps. Well, this is natural because when we incarnate in this body, we do remember who we are, even on a partial level. Yes, we do forget because of also conditioning of society, but we are able to have our psychic abilities that for some of us are really just innate, and for the majority majority of people are, we are able to communicate with these crystals. And in fact, the people that are empath or people that hold still the psychic abilities and extrasensory abilities, they know how to communicate with crystals and they can hear their vibrational thoughts and patterns. So as you won't take the joke of a child talking with a stone, you shouldn't really be so harsh on yourself or judge others if they're able to do this, because crystals, very much like I said before, hold consciousness, and therefore they can even choose what holder they want to have, what owner they want to have. Believe it or not, this is very possible. So talking about crystals then, what is their power? Well, if you understood the fact that they do have consciousness and therefore they come from a cluster and they are extensions of the earth, it goes without saying that as our soul, they do have a unique pattern to them depending on what crystal it is, or what gem it is, what rock it is. And we can see that also in species, in animals, and in human beings. Everybody has their own particular vibration and their own particular consciousness. In fact, you can check out my pick card in regards to this that is called your unique essence. So with that being said, many crystals might have different vibration, and since we live in a vibration and attraction based universe, you will see that as for humans and as for animals, you will vibrate with some crystals and with others you just won't. But how can you really realize that? Now, I want you guys probably to make your own personal research when it comes down to the properties of crystals, which we're going to cover in my next pick a card as well, because a lot of crystals have a lot of different properties depending on the vibration that they hold. But at the same time, crystals can behave very differently according to your specific vibration. I'm going to give you a very simple example as usual. I, for example, always loved Lapis Lazuli. Lapis Lazuli is considered to be the stone of the third eye and a very powerful and strong vibration. If you're not in alignment with Lapis Lazuli, it is very hard that this stone is going to help you in any way. And usually what it's going to happen is that you're going to wear it and it's going to break or it's going to get lost. Well, that is the Lapis Lazuli. That is the crystal clearly lets you know that it just doesn't want to be with you. Now, don't take this as a rejection from a crystal, but simply knowing that perhaps you don't need that stone because you're not in the same vibrational wavelength with the Lapis Lazuli or with that particular crystals, or even better, sometimes it means that you just don't need it. I'm going to give you my example again. I always loved Lapis Lazuli, but there were periods, especially the first year where I started this channel, where like I tried to wear Lapis Lazuli all the time, but it was giving me such intense and huge headaches. I used to have so many weird, crazy parallel realities, nightmares during the night and dreams that was so crazy. And I always used to break the stone. Like I used to wear it and all of a sudden it was just collapse and break. That was because my third eye probably was already wide open and I just didn't need the support of that stone. And by the way, in the first year, especially on my YouTube channel, I was making so many private readings and so many readings even here on YouTube, just exactly like I'm doing now. But I feel also because it was the first time for me to do that, I was doing them, and therefore overcharging myself with a vibration that would have opened my third eye even more wasn't really necessarily. So as you can see, this is a very simple example of a stone that you don't need. So when it comes down to the power and the properties of crystals, it really depends on how your body, but moreover your energetic field interacts with these crystals. Because I can tell you that Lapis Lazuli, it is the stone of the third eye, but to be honest with you, depending on your vibration, that stone will change and have different properties according to the mix between what you need, the vibration of the stone, and your vibration. And therefore, the mix of the two will create a unique experiment. So my suggestion is to obviously be documented and informed about the properties of the crystals in the mainstream spirituality, let's call it this way. But at the same time, just try to go to a store or even pick up online something that really calls your gut system, that calls your intuition. And how do you follow your intuition when it comes down to crystals? Oh, don't worry about it, because they are super good at letting you know which one it's for you. Now, again, I'm gonna do a dedicated pick a card, but crystals are rocks. They are gems. They're pretty loud and very straightforward in vibration. Every time I joke with some people when I say you have such a rocky type of energy, because these are the type of people that are super good with crystals. They are honest, straightforward, and they are possibly even loud sometimes, because that is the vibration of crystals. Crystals are like Mother Earth. They are fierce, they are strong, and they know how to let you know when it's the time to pick them up. For example, you can find them in a store that doesn't even sell crystals, and you get drawn and called by this beautiful stone and you don't even know why you're buying it. Well, that is the crystals persuading you to actually buy that stone because you need it, and he or she, depending on the crystal, wants to be with you. So please don't worry about how do I follow my gut system or how do I even discover what is my spirit crystal. It's going to become very obvious in the moment that you are going to see. Whether you see a picture or you see them live, obviously live is better, but they're going to let you know because they communicate through telepathy as any energies. And also, I'm going to tell you something more about crystals that it's not very common or well known outside in the spiritual community. At least I didn't encounter this information a lot. Well, crystals might be even so incarnated in that particular stone. Yes. So now that you know that, probably you're going to interact with them as you interact with an animal, and try to be more compassionate and gentle with your stone. They have a will. Like, for example, in the books of Dolores Cannon by even Brian Weiss, I think, or in Past Life Regression, we do have examples after examples of people telling that not only they were incarnated as animals in certain lives, but they've been incarnated as rocks. And that teach them, guess what? Incredible patience. Because imagine living not 1 year or 80 years of your life, but centuries as a soul embodying a rock. What does it mean? So as you can see, guys, the crystals have their own personalities. So it's really like an interaction with any other form that is very much alive, even in other system possibly, is to define your limiting beliefs and understand first and foremost what is your current vibration. And by understanding what is your current vibration, you will understand what crystal to pick, and you will understand why they are rejecting you sometimes, or why perhaps all of a sudden you want to give this beautiful amethyst to your best friend. Well, that is the crystal persuading you to be to a different owner because he feels much more a vibrational alignment with the other person. Like I said before, there are millions of properties. One of the use of crystals is to clean tarot deck, to purge your system, or to obtain certain effects. What do I mean by that? There are so many effects that you can obtain with crystals, from healing of diseases, sickness, or relief. You can obtain past life regression. You can obtain channeling abilities and information. You can obtain for automatic writing, believe it or not, for crystal therapy of any sort, which obviously is the healing part, and also for reading. Again, I don't remember which video I did, but I did a video where I read crystals. Yes, crystals sometimes are much more easy to read than tarot cards, because they literally, if you are clairvoyant or any extrasensory abilities, you just put them them on a table and you look at the person and you look at the crystal, and the crystal is literally going to communicate with you guys about the other person. Again, I did a pick a card, I just don't remember the name of it, with reading crystals, and I met so many crystal readers, and it's really very fascinating and interesting. Now, crystals, they can help all of this thing that we mentioned before, but let's remember that you are going to have such a personal relationship with them because it really depends on what crystal you're holding, what cluster this crystal has come from. One thing that you have to be careful though about crystals when you're buying them online, you have to make sure that they are raw and pure, because many of the crystals, unfortunately, that I also bought myself ended up being not crystals but glass, or worse, even plastic. So be very, very careful that you have a certificate or authenticity towards your crystals, because otherwise, as soon as you're going to hold them, especially if you are psychic, you're going to notice immediately that they're not real stone. And one of the discernment that you can do to understand whether or not they're real, it's if you hold them for a very long time and they become immediately super hot. Usually crystals remain cold. Usually, obviously, if you hold them towards your body, a little bit hotter they're going to get, you know, way or another, but they're not going to get that super heat, because the crystal, the real raw crystal like this one, usually remains always cold. Or you, for example, you can also bang them in the wall without breaking them, and you can hear the sound, but that is a much more complicated method to understand whether or not they're pure. Usually just go with your gut feeling. I am sure that the majority of you guys will know, or just simply ask the seller for a certificate or to an insurance of some kind that they are raw and authentic, because they really change, especially if you want to do psychic or healing work with them. So the world of crystals is so vast. In this last part of this video, I want to cover primarily what does it mean to have a spirit crystal, like a spirit guide. As we have spirit guides and as we have a unique essence, we probably have a unique vibration. Now, obviously, like the aura vibrations changes depending on our mood, depending on what we need, but our soul, our inner being never change, evolves for sure, but has a unique imprint. Therefore, you will notice that as you have spirit guides and angels, you have a primary crystal that it will always be with you. I'm gonna give you a very fun and simple example of that. Cleopatra in ancient times, it was said to be obsessed with emerald. Yes, we could say for sure that like Elizabeth Taylor, she loved crystals and she loved the beautiful emerald, but to be honest with you, she was a politician, she was a philosopher, she was a musician, she was a very strong woman and a very sexual one apparently. Emerald is the perfect stone to embody all of these aspects. So no wonder that she was obsessed with such a beautiful stone. I really feel that her inner being, her soul, was trying to communicate with her that emerald and holding that stone would have enhanced her spirit rather than her ego. And in fact, she was obsessed. Same goes with your spirit crystals. You guys have a crystals that will enhance your soul, will enhance your soul quality and your unique essence. Now, finding it might not be super easy, because in order to find it, you really need to meditate and go to the core of who you are to understand what is your essence and what is your true vibration. We talked about this in my video about afterlife, for example. We talked about it in my Pika card, what is your true essence, if you guys want some reference. But you can also read books about crystals that I am sure are going to talk about this. But you can find your primary crystals, and this crystal will help you out every time that nothing else will work. For example, you cannot channel with your tarot cards, your friends are not helping you out, maybe your animals are, of course, but you know, you need something else on a more tangible and energetic level. You need to feel like you are yourself again. Well, guess what? When you're going to interact with your primary crystal, with your soul and spirit crystal, you're gonna feel like yourself again. You're gonna feel a renewal of energy. You're gonna feel like your inner being is talking to you in a much more easier way. So I want to dedicate the next pick a card in order for you, at least generally, to understand what is your spirit crystals. In my example, I have the amethyst. Amethyst is my spirit crystals because it's been revealed to me through my dreams, and it's the only stone that never, not even once, has breaked in my body. And every time, literally, that I wear amethyst, I feel such a huge energy, which is also one of the properties, if you guys know, and I already know that you know, you guys know the property of amethyst. Amethyst is even used to recharge and clean tarot deck, but I really feel drawn to the stone, and no wonder is the stone of indigo children. For many, it is the stone of people that have an indigo aura, or a purple aura is the stone of the crown and the third eye. But it's very different, for example, from Lapis Lazuli, because Lapis Lazuli is very difficult to handle. Like, you guys, the ancient Egyptian used to use Lapis Lazuli also as protection, and they used to put Lapis Lazuli especially on the mummies. So, for example, if we really want to associate, I don't know, in astrology, a sun sign or sign with a stone, Lapis Lazuli will be perfect for Scorpios or for people that are ruled by the 8th house, because Lapis Lazuli, it doesn't really energizes you. True, it protects you, but it's almost connected to Anubis, the protector of the afterlife. It will show you all the truth about the hidden realms. It's very deep. It's very difficult to wear on a vibrational level. I do wear it, doesn't break anymore, but it's not my primary stone. I don't feel recharged whatsoever, or neither I feel enhanced in my soul qualities when I wear Lapis Lazuli, even though it's such a shame because I love that stone. But rather, when I wear amethyst, I really feel I'm coming more from a peaceful and grounded point of view. I really feel like my inner being, my gut feeling is letting me know I feel so much better. This is exactly my stone. And in fact, in so many of my videos, I use amethyst as a channeling stone. I hold it in my hands, and that is how I channel Ray, because it really helps me out not getting tremendous and horrible headaches when I use my psychic abilities. But I mean, we could talk about tourmaline, we could talk about adventuring, green adventuring, red jasper, like all of them old consciousness, and all of them are expression of this beautiful earth. And I feel working with crystals for so many people, especially in this new age of Aquarius, will teach them that everything has consciousness. You can talk to your crystals, you can have a well, maybe not a love relationship, let's be realistic, don't allow them to do that to you, but you can have a really cute relationship like you have with your pets. They have a mission in your life as well as you having a mission for them. And remember that some souls do decide to incarnate like stones and rocks. Therefore, every time that you're being disrespectful to the earth or to the animals and to the plants, because it's the same story, you're being disrespectful to yourself and to an extension of yourself. So I hope this video was informative for you guys and told you something that perhaps you didn't know before. If you want more videos like this, please comment down below, share your stories, share also your knowledge with respect to others so we can all learn from each other. Share, like, and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you would like to see on this channel. And in the meantime, wait for the next Pico card where we're going to discover together what is your spirit crystals, and keep in mind, you're never wrong if you fall in love. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here with me today.